I'm asking, and I'll ask this because I know there's a media message that goes out there. I want to ask Mitt Romney, will you call for a mandate from the American people for a balanced budget amendment to the United States Constitution? Will you use the bully pulpit of the presidency to pressure Congress to pass a balanced budget amendment out of the House, out of the United States Senate, send it to the states for ratification, where I want Iowa to be the very first state to ratify a balanced budget amendment to the United States Constitution? Will you do that, Senator Anderson? Move that balanced budget amendment? Good. Anybody else in the legislature I missed or that's heading there? Please step up for that. I want to see Iowa step up. 38 states is what it takes to ratify a balanced budget amendment to our Constitution. Plank number 1, repeal Obamacare. Plank number 2, a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. Third piece of this, restoring our American dream, is this. The very first bill that I introduced when I went to Congress as a freshman was a bill to create the blender's credit for biodiesel, and a bill to extend the blender's credit for ethanol production, mostly from corn. That extended that foundation that encouraged capital investment. And at one time we had over it was in the billions of dollars that were invested just in my district on renewable energy, 1 year. And today, the 5th District of Iowa, the Western Third of Iowa, is the #1 renewable energy producing congressional district out of all 435 in America. We produce ethanol, we produce biodiesel, and we generate electricity with wind. And you add up all those BTUs, there's no congressional district out of 435 that can compete, except the other side of the election, January 3rd, this new 4th district of 39 counties that adds in the cities of Fort Dodge, Mason City, Ames, and many others over to Chickasaw County, 382 towns. And that district will be far and away the largest renewable energy producing district in America. And I'm not here to take credit. I just said I introduced a bill and it went on to become law. A lot of other people did work on that. They helped that bill become law. You've got to be able to work with people and give them a little credit. But the people that invested their capital and their sweat equity and the ones that had the ideas are the ones that deserve the credit. And I remember what it was like here during the farm crisis years of the 80s. I lived through that. I was trying to hold a construction business and a family together for 10 years, a full decade of drought and bad markets and downward spiraling capital. I had a knot in my gut for 3.5 years that I lived with. My bank was closed on April 26, Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, 1985. You don't forget those things. I had 2 pennies in my pocket to rub together and still figured out how to make payroll, even though my customers' accounts were frozen too. We went through all that time in the 80s. I remember when our pickups were rusty and had the fenders flapping, when we didn't have enough money to buy paint to paint our old houses. Now I look around the countryside and I think, how far have we come? We have come a long, long ways. And in the fall of 2008, in the middle of the downward spiral, when the greatest fear existed after Henry Paulson announced that we were on the verge of a global collapse economically, I gave a speech at the downtown Sioux City Rotary Club, and I said that day, at the greatest fear level, I said, however bad this gets, and we don't know how bad it'll get, however bad it gets, we will weather this as well as anyone, because we're closer to the land from which comes all new wealth. We're closer to our faith, to our families, to our communities, to our businesses, to our schools. We are tied together as Iowans. And look what we've done. Our unemployment has been under 5%. It just crept above that again the other day. The rest of the nation's seen 8+% unemployment, sometimes up to 18 in certain states. But we've held it together. We've reached out and helped each other. We've been creative. We invested capital. And I look back over that span of time that I've had the privilege to serve you in Congress, and here's a couple pieces of math to think about. On the year that I went to Washington, that was 2003, the value of crops and livestock sold in Iowa was $12 billion. Now, that's a lot of money. 8 years later, not 10, it was $24 billion. And ag land prices then were $60 billion. Just 9 years later, that's when we did the math, nothing particularly significant about it. 9 years later, $60 billion worth of ag land became over $200 billion worth of just ag land in Iowa. So we've gained $140 billion worth of capital to work with, and what have we done? Invested that in renewable energy and value added and education and higher education and research. We are on a roll. We're hit by a drought, and we're going to bridge through this. And I support the drought relief that's there, especially for our livestock people. But we will get through this like we've gotten through everything else, and it goes down to the value of our land and the faith and the character of our people. I am very optimistic about Iowa and Iowans. You lift my head and my heart to be part of this, and I will do my part. I know that in the 5th district now, the 32 counties, I've been to all 286 towns. And we've had 2 district directors over that period of time. They also did the outreach and went to all 286 towns, separately as a matter of going out to meet people and try to be connected to serve you. I do know Iowa. I can't say that I've demonstrated I love this state more than Terry Branstad, but I give him a lot of credit because nobody's loved this state any better than Terry Branstad or any more. But I do love this state and the people, and we're going to do the outreach, and we'll be into your communities. If we haven't been there now, we're going to be there. And part of it is laying the foundation so that we can step up and do a good job of representing you, the other side of this election. So I'm going to work to put Mitt Romney in the White House. I'm going to work to put my good friend Paul Ryan in as vice president. And we're going to have a strong voice from Iowa right there in the West Wing and sometimes in the Oval Office of the White House. Your voice will be heard in Washington, D.C., and Iowans will lead with our values, our work ethic for the rest of the country. They come and ask me now, what do they think in the Midwest? That's because they know you lead. We're going to continue to lead, and we're going to do this 2 years from now, 4 years from now, on and beyond until America is back together again and we have restored our American dream and restored the pillars of American exceptionalism. Thank you very much. God bless you.